I, Charles, Prince of Wales, do become your liege man of life and limb, and of earthly worship. And faith and truth I will bear unto thee, to live and die against all manner of folks.
Charles Philip Arthur George is raised up by his mother Elizabeth II, exchanges the kiss of fealty as he becomes the 21st English Prince of Wales.
This is a CBS News special, The Investiture of Prince Charles. In New York, CBS News correspondent Harry Reasoner.
There is with everything these days a sort of generation gap, and to those of us whose childhood toys were castles and soldiers on horseback and queens in carriages instead of astronauts and rockets, what took place today in the resort town of Carnarvon on the north coast of Wales was as marvelous and unbelievable as it will be for our children on that day later this month when astronaut Neil Armstrong steps out on the moon and says whatever it is one says when one steps out on the moon for the first time. This is the toy world. The queen in her carriage drawn by matched grays, the soldiers on horseback in gleaming armor, the castle and the battlements. And this was Carnarvon today, the castle and the battlements, the soldiers on horseback in gleaming armor, the queen in her carriage drawn by matched grays. But this is 1969, and a youth today threw an egg at the royal carriage and was nearly lynched. Policemen in the jittery town of Carnarvon were armed, an unusual thing in the United Kingdom. And they chased down everything that looked vaguely suspicious, including a portly, bald man whose capture was seen around the world. Some boos were heard. A bomb blew up railroad tracks and shook the royal train after it had arrived. 2 nationalists were killed 30 miles from Carnarvon, apparently while trying to demolish a municipal building. The toy world came to life today, and mostly it was lovely and the stuff that childhood dreams are made of. But the mood of the 1960s managed to be felt.
Let's take a close look at a new padded bra by Playtex. It's the closest thing to you yet. See? Playtex put a new softer fiber inside. It's just like natural softness. Stays soft, can't shift, can't bunch up, even after machine washing. So it always stays soft and natural. It's the closest thing to you yet. New Playtex Softline Padded Bra.
This is a bottle of ice-cold Coca-Cola sitting on a piece of ice in an ice-cold Colorado River. If watching this bottle of ice-cold Coke is making you want one, get one. This is a short commercial and you won't miss much. And when you get back, the sparkling, refreshing taste of Coke will make the next commercial go even better.
To understand the investiture and the currents that swirled around it in Carnarvon today, 3 factors have to be understood. The history of the English princes of Wales, imposed on a country that doesn't much want them. The country, rich and ravaged. The people, religious, and some of them holding on to a poignant but deep-felt nationalism. CBS News correspondent Winston Burdett reports.
The business of proclaiming the Prince of Wales is an old English habit. For nearly 700 years, it has been the custom of the English kings and queens to indulge their whim of according this title to their eldest sons. Carnarvon Castle is where the habit got started. After the defeat and death of the last Welsh Prince of Wales in the year 1282, the victorious King of England built this castle as the capital of his new Welsh dominion and as a military stronghold against the beaten but unreconciled Welsh. King Edward was much more than a bluff warrior. He was also a very astute politician. So he summoned his wife, Queen Eleanor, from London, and soon she came to this castle and bore him a son whom he then presented to the Welsh chieftains as a true-born Welsh prince, because, as the king laughingly said, he could not speak a word of English. Since the boy was only a few weeks old, he could not speak a word of Welsh either. And so, in this fashion, so the story goes, Wales lost her independence and gained an English prince, the first of a long line. And there he still stands, in weather-beaten stone, above the main gate of the castle. The castle is still one of the grandest historical monuments in Britain. For many centuries, it was a formidable bastion. Every tower, every battlement, every stone bespoke strength and solidity. Since King Edward I started it all, there have been 20 princes of Wales. Some, like the Black Prince, were illustrious figures, but died before they made it to the throne. Some, like Henry VIII, attained the summit of power, but oddly, for 100 years after Henry, there was no Prince of Wales at all. Prince Charles, who became King Charles I, had a gorgeous investiture in London. But the idea of making the ceremony a full-scale pageant on the scene at Carnarvon Castle was an innovation of the 20th century. It happened on a sweltering summer day in 1911. The old, forgotten ritual was then revived so that a nervous boy, 17 years old, could be presented in pomp to the Welsh people. Prince Edward, the future Edward VIII and Duke of Windsor, nearly fainted from the heat, and even more from desperation. He was ashamed of the preposterous rig that the royal stage managers made him wear, and afraid that all his friends would laugh at him. But now, 58 years later, the heir to the throne is a young man who seems to carry lightly the chores and burdens of his office. Prince Charles is debonair, relaxed, friendly, and apparently unflappable. He is intelligent. He is not just a figure in a ceremonial. He is the first Prince of Wales ever to go to school like other boys, and after school he went to Cambridge, Trinity College, to acquire an intellectual image. He has performed his first military duty, too, as Colonel-in-Chief of the newly amalgamated Royal Regiment of Wales. 500 troops with bands playing and colors flying in impeccable turnout and parade order. Reviewing the regiment and presenting the colors, Charles looked very much like the next King of England. To improve his Welsh image, he paid the Welsh the supreme compliment of learning to speak their strange and complex language. At the University of Wales in Aberystwyth this spring, he studied hard for 9 weeks and took everything in Wales in his stride, including the demonstrations of nationalist Welsh students who say that the investiture is a hoax and a waste of money and that having an English prince is an insult. Charles's great moment came right after one such demonstration at the Welsh Youth Festival of Song and Poetry.
Ar y canu brwd a phersain. Canu mor frwd, fel y byddai'n dda eich cael chi gyd yng Nghaernarfon.
His Welsh accent was excellent. He even managed to crack a joke, and he told his audience that he honored the rich traditions of Welsh culture and would do everything in his power to defend and preserve the Welsh language. No Prince of Wales had ever said that before.
Rwy'n dacfen David ap Gwilym yn fy ngwely bob nos.
Now in the shop windows in Welsh towns, you see the picture of Charles along with a profuse clutter of investiture souvenirs, jugs and mugs, coffee sets and carpets bearing his heraldic symbol. But at the same time, along the roads of Wales, you see slogans inviting the English to go back to England, and hundreds of road signs in English obliterated with green paint. These are the work of Welsh nationalists who want full political independence. The political issue is confused somewhat by the fact that the Prince himself is so likable, as even the leader of the Welsh National Party, Gwynfor Evans, admits.
The lad himself is a very pleasant lad, there's no doubt at all about that, and an intelligent lad too. We have nothing against the Prince of Wales, and we have nothing against the Crown, for that matter. Nothing at all. In fact, our own policy means that we accept the Crown as a link between the countries of the Commonwealth. But the Queen of England, when she comes to Wales, will be the Queen of Wales. And we're not a Republican party. Our objection is to the way they've been using this title, Prince of Wales, in order to integrate Wales in England.
This is the Welsh countryside where the emotions of Welsh nationalism have their roots. The roots go very deep. The Welsh have been here for a long time, and to be born a Welshman is to belong to the oldest race of the British people. The Welsh were here long before the Romans came, and Welsh was the chief language of the people who lived in Britain at the time of the Roman invasion. Centuries of history and legend have left their mark on the Welsh landscape. The mysterious cromlechs, or burial chambers, the time-worn Christian crosses of the Middle Ages, and the castles of the Norman conquerors who drove the Welsh back from the green land into their craggy hills. The Cathedral of St. David, the patron of Wales, one of the oldest places of continuous worship in the Christian world. In Roman times, when the cathedral was built, St. David's was for the British people the western end of the world. The Welsh are lovers of myth and magic. The rugged line of their coast, where even the rocks are among the oldest in Britain. A country of lakes and streams, of huddled villages of hewn stone, of small farm holdings, farms too small to prosper in an age of mechanized agriculture, and sometimes too small to survive. The Welsh are lovers of words and language. The town with the longest name in the world is here, the longest, as far as we know, 58 letters, pronounced
Llanfair pwllgwyngyll gogerich chwyrndrobwyll llandysilio go go goch,
which means the Church of Mary by the white pool with the willow, near the whirlpool close to the Church of Tysilio, near the red cave. Slowly the Welsh language has been dying out, and today less than a quarter of the people speak it. The Protestant chapel, Baptist, Methodist, or Presbyterian, is still the stronghold of the language and the culture, still the center of prayer and communal life in the Welsh-speaking corners of the country. The Welsh are music makers. This is a rehearsal in a vestry by one of the community choral groups that are a central feature of Welsh life. With few theaters and no concert halls, the Welsh in towns and villages entertain themselves. Wales is well endowed with natural wealth, but afflicted with depopulation and the irreparable decline of many of its old established industries. The coal miners in the Rhondda Valley are much better off today than they were a decade ago, but life in the mines and in the valley is contracting. Emigration has drained the region of much of its youth. In an age of mass organization and mass culture, can a small country, rather smaller than New Jersey, preserve its national life and character? It is a question that puzzles and troubles many Welshmen today, and not only the dedicated nationalists. The Welsh national anthem. The anthem says, "The land of my fathers is dear to me. While the sea protects her, I will be true to my country. Oh, may the old language live."
Pittsburgh Paints presents The Breathing House. Your house is breathing all the time. It expands when it's hot and humid, contracts when it's cool and dry, inhales and exhales, stretches and shrinks. That's why ordinary oil-based house paint cracks and blisters and peels. So we made a new paint that stretches and breathes. New Pittsburgh Sunproof Latex house paint. It has much more stretchability than ordinary house paint. It breathes and expands and contracts with your house, so it resists cracking and blistering and peeling. Pittsburgh Sunproof Latex house paint lasts years longer than ordinary house paint. Try it. Give your house a breather.
The parades and music and color that were today's investiture were to the ear and eye the kind of gluttony that old Prince of Wales, Henry VIII, used to indulge at his dinner table. The physical design of the ceremony was by Lord Snowdon, uncle of the Prince, Anthony Armstrong Jones. The timetable and the ritual were the task of the Earl Marshal, Duke of Norfolk, hereditary major domo of royal celebrations. The weather went from sunshine to drizzle, holding down the crowd to an estimated 100,000, less than half what was expected. But those who came and those who watched the spectacle around the world were richly rewarded. Richard Baker and Emlyn Williams described the festivities for the British Broadcasting Corporation.
Now here's the procession of the Yeomen of the Guard, one of the most colorful ingredients of this ceremony today. In their scarlet and gold, led by their captain, Lord Bowles, they're the oldest military organization in the world, founded almost 500 years ago. There's the front, the Prince of Wales escort, getting now quite near to the town. This, of course, is a moment which has been looked forward to by vast numbers of people in Carnarvon. Now, in the castle, there's a momentary pause. It's the Constable of the Castle and Minister of Public Building and Works, Mr. Silkin. Prince's personal standard for use in Wales. Now, the Prince goes into the Chamberlain Tower in the middle ward of the castle, where he will prepare for the moment when Garter, King of Arms, comes to fetch him, to bring him to the Queen. And this is the Queen's procession coming in. Now this splendid medieval amphitheater is almost filled, ready for the arrival of Her Majesty the Queen.
And now begins the ceremony of the investiture. Her Majesty the Queen commands the Earl Marshal to direct Garter, King of Arms, to summon His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales. After the heralds, a man whose office was created only 5 years ago, the Secretary of State for Wales. He will read the letters patent in Welsh. The Prince himself, bareheaded now in readiness for his crown, is flanked by Lord Davies and Lord Dinner. Her Majesty hands the English text of the letters patent to the Home Secretary, the Right Honourable James Callaghan. The Home Secretary will now read the letters patent in English.
Know ye that we have made and created, and by these our letters do make and create our most dear son, Charles Philip Arthur George, Prince of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, Duke of Cornwall and Rothesay, Earl of Carrick, Baron of Renfrew, Lord of the Isles, and Great Steward of Scotland, Prince of Wales, and Earl of Chester.
Her Majesty, following the age-old tradition, takes the sword and creates her son Earl of Chester. The symbol of sovereignty.
Modroi air ar ai vis.
The gold ring, symbol of unity, the unity in this instance being the prince's marriage to Wales.
Law.
The gold rod, symbol of temporal rule.
The wadiano, ac am ddiffyn rhan barthau a hynny, a'i cadw I ddiwedd a'i at y feddion. Brenhinoedd y deyrnas gyfunol. Prydain fawr a
In a
gofer
moment,
Iwerddon.
the prince pays homage to the queen by placing his hands between those of the lover.
Y gymanwlad dros byth. Am hynny,
I, Charles, Prince of Wales, do become your liege man of life and limb, and of earthly worship. And faith and truth I will bear unto thee, to live and die against all manner of folks.
Then the president of the University College of Wales read the loyal address of the people of Wales. Prince Charles, in Welsh and then in English, responded on a hopeful note.
One thing I am clear about, and it is that Wales needs to look forward without forsaking the traditions and essential aspects of her past. The past can be just as much a stimulus to the future as anything else. By the affirmation of your loyalty today, for which I express my gratitude, this will not simply be a faint hope.
Now that the ceremony of investiture and the religious service are over, we come to the presentations of the prince to his people. And the prince and his mother and father will go first to Queen Eleanor's gate, the Queen's Gate.
Every winter, the biggest waves in the world hit a 10-mile stretch of beach on the north shore of Oahu. And after you've ridden one in, nothing tastes as good as an ice-cold bottle of Coke. Coca-Cola is the most popular drink in the islands because of how it tastes when you come in from the waves.
Someone's always making waves in this world. Maybe that's why Coca-Cola is this world's most popular drink. It has the taste you never get tired of, and it makes things go a little bit better.
When babies feed with ordinary bottles, air gets inside. Nipple often collapses. Air gets into baby's stomach. Not with Playtex, the nursing method most like mother herself. See, natural-shaped nipple can't collapse because as baby feeds, formula sac contracts. No air gets inside. Formula flows smoothly. Baby gets less air, more nourishment. And Playtex nurser sacs are pre-sterilized, disposable. Playtex nurser. Now save $2.
The last Prince of Wales, Edward, King Edward VIII, never quite was comfortable, either as prince or as king. He married the lady from Baltimore and lives happily ever after as the Duke of Windsor. Edward was unhappy at his investiture as prince 58 years ago, and his mother, Queen Mary, had to tell him, "You mustn't take a mere ceremony so seriously. Your friends will understand that as a prince, you are obliged to do certain things that seem a little silly." To paraphrase that other Englishman of note, lyricist William S. Gilbert, a prince's lot is not always a happy one. But Charles seems to be bearing up. In an interview with Cliff Mitchellmore of the BBC and Brian Connell of ITV, he showed that he has an understanding of the pleasures and problems of being a prince.
You see, the trouble is that one has to remember that I'm in a slightly different position from several other people. And I think they try and put themselves in my position too much. I think out of certain necessity, I've perhaps been more lonely, if they like it. I mean, I haven't made a lot of friends, if that's what they mean, and I haven't been to a lot of parties or anything. There haven't been very many. And I've had a lot of other things to do. I've been around Wales a lot and looked at things and visited people. And essentially it is, I suppose, compared with other people's lives, more lonely.
Your grandfather, King George VI, once said, "We're not so much a family, we're more a firm." Do you feel a member of a firm?
A family firm.
A royal firm.
A family firm. I think that's probably put it right. I suppose so. I think in the sense that one's all doing the same job. It you know, is a coordinating influence, you know. I like to think of it more as a family rather than a firm, I think.
Do you have any thoughts about the lady that a Prince of Wales should marry? Should she still be a royal or titled lady?
Yes. Well, I suppose, you see, it's awfully difficult because you've got to remember that when you marry, in my position, you're going to marry somebody who perhaps one day is going to become queen. And you've got to choose somebody very carefully, I think, who could fulfill this particular role. Because people like you, perhaps, would expect quite a lot from somebody like that. And it's got to be somebody pretty special. And the one advantage about marrying a princess, for instance, or somebody from a royal family, is that they do know what happens. You know, the only trouble is that I often feel I'd like to marry somebody English or
Welsh.
Perhaps Welsh, British. All right. Yes, I know. I knew this would come.
His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales, the next King of England, a most self-possessed young man. I'm Harry Reasoner. Good night.
This has been a CBS News special, The Investiture of Prince Charles.
Have you ever thought of what happens when you smoke a cigarette? We have.